My name is Daniel Hartman, and for most of my adult life, I thought I was living the dream. I had a loving wife, Vanessa, who I'd spent almost 15 years with, 10 of those married. We had built a life together that I thought was solid, built on loyalty and trust. If someone had told me a year ago that I'd be single, living in a smaller apartment, with half my belongings sold off, I would have laughed in their face. But life has a way of teaching you lessons you never sign up for. I met Vanessa when we were just 22. She was vibrant, ambitious, and talked endlessly about the family she wanted to build. I was the eldest of 5 siblings, so having kids had always been something I wanted. We connected instantly over that shared dream. It felt like fate, like we had both been raised separately only to meet and complete each other. Within 5 years of dating, we got married, excited to start our own family. We didn't wait. From the moment we tied the knot, we tried for a baby, month after month. Negative tests greeted us like an unwanted visitor. At first, we stayed hopeful. We were young, healthy, and in love. But after the first year of failed attempts, that hope started to erode. We went through everything: doctors, fertility clinics, awkward discussions about bodily functions that no one wants to have. I lost count of how many times I provided samples in cold, sterile clinics. The results always came back the same. I was fine. Vanessa's results, however, were inconclusive. There was no clear answer. The doctors used words like unexplained infertility, which basically meant they had no clue why we couldn't conceive. We didn't give up easily. We tried IVF not once but 3 times. Each attempt drained our savings and left us emotionally wrecked. Twice, Vanessa got pregnant, and for a fleeting few weeks, we allowed ourselves to believe it was finally happening. Both times, she miscarried before the first trimester ended. I watched the light in Vanessa's eyes fade with each loss, and I felt helpless. I tried to be the strong husband, the patient partner, supportive shoulder, but I was falling apart too. Our families, both steeped in traditional beliefs, didn't make things easier. My parents subtly questioned Vanessa's health, while hers openly criticized me, assuming it was my fault. They whispered behind our backs, making comments at every family gathering. I hated every second of it, but Vanessa had it worse. She bore the brunt of their judgment, and I hated seeing her suffer. Over time, our marriage shifted. The joy we once shared turned into quiet distance. Date nights became rarer, laughter became forced, and even simple conversations turned tense. But despite all of it, I stayed because I believed we were still a team fighting the same battle. That illusion shattered 8 months ago. One afternoon, Vanessa called me at work, crying hysterically. She told me she was pregnant. My first reaction was confusion. We had stopped fertility treatments over a year ago. We weren't even actively trying anymore. But hope is a strange thing. It can fool you even when you should know better. I wanted to believe it was a miracle, that somehow life had finally decided to bless us. But something about her didn't sit right with me. She was evasive about the timing. Didn't want me to come to appointments, and her phone suddenly became a locked vault. She claimed she was just being cautious, scared of jinxing it, but I knew her better than anyone. Vanessa was never secretive. Until now. I tried to ignore my gut instinct, telling myself I was just being paranoid after years of disappointment. But suspicion has a way of creeping in like a shadow you can't shake off. One evening, while she was showering, her phone buzzed. Curiosity got the better of me. The message preview said, "You sure he doesn't suspect?" My heart stopped. I opened the message thread and read more than I should have. It was from a man named Owen, a co-worker she had mentioned casually a few times, someone I had met briefly at a work party. The conversation was damning. She had been having an affair with him for months. The pregnancy wasn't a miracle. It was an accident. Worse, she had planned to make me believe it was mine, to trap me into raising a child that wasn't my own. I didn't react right away. I took screenshots of everything. I needed proof, not just for my sanity, but for what I knew was coming next. That weekend, I confronted her. She denied it at first, her face pale, her lips trembling. Then she broke down and confessed. She begged me to understand, claiming it was just a mistake, that it only happened a few times, that she was just desperate after so many years of failed pregnancies. I listened in silence, staring at the woman I had devoted 15 years of my life to. I realized in that moment I didn't know her at all. She hadn't just cheated. She had planned to lie to me, to deceive me into becoming a father to a child she made behind my back. I told her I was done. Within 2 weeks, I had filed for divorce. She cried, begged, and promised she would make it right. I didn't care. I emptied our joint accounts before she could touch a penny more. Through my lawyer, I ensured she got nothing but the bare minimum the court required. No house, no savings, no sentimental items I cared about. I even sold my car because it was in both our names, just to prevent her from claiming it. People called me cruel. Her family raged at me, saying I abandoned her in her most vulnerable time. My own relatives were divided. Some believed I should have tried to forgive. Others said I was right to leave. But none of them had spent nights pacing the hallway, wondering if they were broken. None of them had sat beside a sobbing wife after miscarriage, only to realize years later she would betray me without hesitation. I walked away from the house we bought together, from the memories we built, from the life I thought was forever. Starting over at 37 was terrifying. I moved into a small, rented apartment, sold off most of my possessions, and cut contact with anyone who tried to guilt-trip me. It's been 8 months since I left. I won't pretend it's been easy. There are days I wake up in a cold, empty bed and wonder what my life could have been. But then I remember, the life I had was a lie. The woman I loved wasn't who I thought she was. I've reconnected with old friends, picked up old hobbies I've forgotten about, and for the first time in years, I feel like I'm breathing freely. I've accepted the possibility that I may never have children of my own, but I'd rather have peace of mind than live a lie. Sometimes I wonder about the child. I wonder if Vanessa told Owen the truth, or if she continued spinning her web of lies. I wonder if she regrets what she did, if the silence of an empty house haunts her like the betrayal haunts me. But then I remind myself, those are no longer my burdens to carry. Life doesn't always give you happy endings. Sometimes it gives you painful truths and a chance to rebuild from ashes. I took that chance. I walked away with nothing but my dignity, and that's worth more than any false family could ever offer. And if there's one thing I've learned, it's this: you can't build a future on lies. Sooner or later, the truth will burn it all down. And when it does, the only thing left standing will be your self-respect. If you had the courage to choose it,